Okay, so what I want to do now is draw in the section cut line. So I'm going to try to do this quickly. You can just kind of follow along. But we're going to draw that section cut line through the center of the building. And again, I'm doing this as a bit of a jump on the next assignment. I just want to make sure I got that base drawn in really well. So we're going to cut right through the center of the building, right? We've got all of our good base lines down here. We know our building height. It's a good overall height. Got that in there really strong. The thing I'm trying to watch when I'm doing here is I've got a bit of a shadow on my light, and that's causing some error in my lines, so I'm just trying to be careful. All right, so I want to cut right through the center of this thing. So to determine the center, I could measure it, right? I could go over 11 feet, and I could pull that line back, but where it should end up being, if I do that, it should end up going right through the center of that. Well, it's not though, is it? So we have a bit of a perspectival difference going on here, which is okay. So I'm measuring over. Where's my 11? Come on, half inch. 11 feet. Right there. Oh, no, that does. So yeah, so that does what we suspect that it should do, is go right through the center of it. So you could also draw this right through that center, through that X. So this gives us our cut plane. So I'm going to draw this line up from this point, which is the inside wall plane, right there. Then I'm going to pull that back across, pull that up, and then pull that across again. And what I've discovered in doing this is that I have an error in my drawings. So you'll see this, what's happening here. When I do this perspective line, I'm not lining up. So somewhere I made a mistake. So when I did this up to 22 feet, or up to 18 feet. One of the things I'm just going to check is see what's going on here. It looks like that's a little bit off. So I may have gotten messed up when I was doing some of these lines. Yes, I did. Okay, so this line should be aligning with this line. It was when I made that mistake early on, you know, when I was drawing the light cove instead of everything else. So this point right here should be projecting back to there, and then I should be drawing straight across from there to this point. That is still not perfect, but it's much closer. That's the top plane. And then my cut line, now that should work out. Yep. So that's my cut plane now. I need to redraw that top in there because I didn't quite do that right, did I? So the diagonal on the roof is right here. This is going to make sense in a minute. Oh, am I on the right? Am I on the wrong? So there we go. I got to get to that. I got to make sure I watch what I'm doing here, especially when I made a mistake. This is the thing with 2-point perspectives, right? If I made a mistake early on, and it has now managed to show up in lots of different places in the drawing. And I'm going to go over a couple lines in graphite right after I do this, just because I'm starting to lose a sense of what's going on, and I know a couple lines. There are a couple lines that I know are going to work out. This is a cut line, and I know it. That's a cut line, and I know it. No one's convinced me otherwise. This is going to come down a little bit. I don't know quite how far yet. Come down some distance, not quite sure yet how far. So now I'm coming down. The outside wall line, which I want to be able to get, is on this center line. I can come up. Blue lead. It's going to be right there, right? Off of that plan. Same over here. It's going to come up right there. I don't know how thick the roof is yet though, right? So what I can do to figure that out is go up a foot, as I've done here, go up a foot, pull it back, and I'll pull it back to the wall line, which is this wall, which I did, again, I'm messing with my errors again. It's going to go there, and there, and then I can project that back to where it intersects with that outside wall line, and that gives me the width of the roof, which looks way too thick. Oh, because I went inside to outside. See? Error compounds. Right there. Just going to give it a little bit of graphite right there. There. You can see what happened right there. I gotta make sure that's that shadow line that happens. And this comes down some dimension, I'm not sure what yet. So there we have that. We can see this is a little thicker than that. This ended up being 1'6". This is 1 foot. We're drawing that finish in. It might be that roof is a little thicker, but I'm just gonna go with this as I've got it. The next thing I want to do is lay out the benches so I can finish this cut line, and that comes up 8 feet, right? So we're right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 feet. 8 feet. We're keeping in that plane. Comes back to here. And then project it on back again to get to our cut line. So you see what I'm kind of doing? I'm just sort of swinging these lines around to get them to the cut line. Because then once I'm there, now I know this cut line comes right down to that point. The next line in is the light cove, which is going to be right here. And that's going to come out like that. And now I don't quite know where this diagonal comes yet, so I have to sort of construct that. So I'm gonna come up, I know this is the base of the bench right here, right? And I know that bench is about 1.5 feet off of the floor. So I can come here, I'm gonna use my 3/8 inch scale to do it right. Here's my floor line. These are my little measurement marks. 1.5 feet. And then I'm gonna swing that line back and around. Back over. Get it over to the cut line, which is right there. Swing it on forward. And that gives it to us. So this is, that's the front of the bench. That's the back of the bench. That's the top of the seat. I can start to draw this now. And I'm gonna draw in a little detail as I'm doing this that I'm gonna guess at. Because it's the width of the pencil, but I'm drawing that little floor drain that's kind of snuck in there. And then this we know goes all the way out. And this line will be just the back of that bench, just that. And now I can connect those two dots. Connect the dots, la la la. Okay. Pee Wee Herman, anybody? There's my cut line right there. How about them apples? Okay, now we need to figure out where this top comes in, right? We know that's at 7 feet. So we can come up, again, here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did I do this wrong? I thought that was 8 feet. Oh boy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I did do it wrong. Pre-caffeination. Adventures in pre-caffeination. Really should be doing this on a clear head, huh? Just means these two lines are wrong. So this is 7 feet. This I can project. So this one I want to project over to the front. To get that line at the front. So it's going to be right there. So that cut line is right there. That's that 7 foot mark. And we know, again, from the section that there's a little bit of detail there that this actually comes up, right? So we know this actually comes down from comes down about 4 feet to this ground line. It comes up to about 7 feet on that ground line. So again, measuring 1, 2, 3, 4. That's that line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Project it back to there. Back to the cut line. And then I can draw all the way in graphite. Oof. Whoosh. come down 7 feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's right there. A little hard to see. Gonna project back to that point. Right? So we're staying in this plane. Then this line is going to come from this vanishing point. Let's see if it work. Yep. That. And then the cut here. So we know this pops up a little bit, right? We have some detail in that section that tells us what's going on there. Comes down to 7 and maybe comes up a couple of inches. I'm going to guess that. I'm not going to measure that. That's a detail that's a little less important right now. But we know that there's just that little bit of a rise. And then I'm probably going to need to do this to get that line, aren't I? So the last thing I got to figure out is how does this come back? And what we know from the section, right, is that this point determines it, right? That determines the sight line. So I can draw that from there to there. But to get it on the other side, I'm going to have to swing that light cove line around and make sure I know where that's at. But I can also pull it up from that center line too, right? So that's right here. It's going to be up 8 feet. So that's that 8-foot line is right there. So I got to pull this back. To that point, and then that is going to come out that little bit. So there's no bench over here, right? We're not cutting through it, but I'm still having to get that point figured out so I can figure out that angle back. And then once I have that point right here, I can align it with this point right here. And that's just off of that section. You can look at that section, you know, in the PDF if you want, again, that shows us how that angle was determined. You know, it was determined by a sight line, and that sight line comes from there. So it actually looks like where we cut this section, we're actually going to end up seeing a little bit of that. And that is our section cut. That is the end of this assignment.